Hello, everyone. Happy Sunday. How is everyone doing? Sunday after Thanksgiving for all those in the good old USA who celebrated Thanksgiving. I hope everybody overseas had a wonderful, possibly quieter weekend or end of last week with the markets being shortened and closed somewhat. So, we got a huge week ahead of us, a huge week. So let's get into it. Thank you, everyone, for attending. Hey, come on. There we go. Hey, Waka Waka. Good afternoon, Patrick. Good evening, Anissa. You think it's Jackson Hole 2.0? I don't know about that. We got Powell speaking this week. I don't put it anywhere near Jackson Hole 2.0. But we shall see. We shall see how that goes. Happy Sunday, Options 22. China issues. Yeah, China's they are full-blown lockdown mode. Lots of protests going on in China. Bad Black Friday. I saw some retailers saying it was up. I went to or drove by a couple malls around me, and especially some higher-end stuff, and it was more. It shocked me at how deserted it was. Uh, a lot of the places shopping just wasn't there. I went to Costco on Friday because I ran out of a couple things. I did not plan properly. It's lucky I planned better for the market. So Costco was absolutely deserted on Friday. I had to go again today. And it was packed today, but that was mainly people stocking up for what it looked like on a lot of groceries after the Thanksgiving weekend. But I did not see a lot of action. No, they were saying a lot of online ordering. I was not seeing a lot of foot traffic out and about. Take that for what it's worth. So what else do we got? You think there'll be a capitulation? Uh, it would be a lot lower push for capitulation. A lot lower. So hold on one second. Yeah, the new live streaming stuff is trying to connect to my cell phone again to do stuff, and I had to change that. Had an issue with the first live stream kicking off, so I had to restart it. All right, let's take a look. Let's get into things and prepare, because now we're in the holiday season between Thanksgiving and Christmas. December, a historically very bullish month, unlike September. So will that kick off this week? I put up a sector overview for everybody to watch, so please consider watching that tomorrow. Remember also, real quick, we have on December 14th, we have Fed announcement day. And we have the quiet period before that. So we're still getting in some Fed speaky before that quiet period. Now, tomorrow, Monday the 28th, we got Dallas Fed Manufacturing Index. Going to still be watching to see how deep that is in contraction. That's really, I don't think it can drop much more that will shock people, but going to see if on a bounce back. I doubt it will be above zero. But that's what's interesting to me. And then we got Fed Williams speaking at 11 Central, 12 Eastern. Tuesday, got the house price index, very minor at this point, but we have consumer confidence, the Conference Board consumer confidence forecast down from previous. So let's see if that's a beat or miss 30 minutes after the stocks open. Could be market moving. Then we have Dallas Fed Services. So that's going to also, prior was in contraction. Going to see if that bounces back at all. Wednesday the 30th, besides the mortgage information that comes out, we have the growth rate quarter over quarter, second estimate for Q3. GDP growth rate. Remember, we had the first estimate already come out. And this is just a previous quarter. That's not the first estimate, that minus 0.6. So forecast as a second estimate for Q3 is forecast at 2.7. We got the ADP numbers. We have, what else do we have? We have the growth rate, and then we have the price index for the quarter over quarter for Q3 coming in at forecast of 4.1. So a big contraction from previous forecast, but still up at 4.1. We got some core PCE prices quarter over quarter, so that's the more minor number to Thursday's number. We have Chicago PMI 15 minutes after the open, pending home sales and the JOLTS numbers. Again, the more minor one is always crude. But then we have in the after or right before noon, Cook speaking at 12:30 Central. We got Powell speaking with his big speech. I think this is the last big one before the rate hike announcement on the 14th. Then we have the Fed beige book. So Wednesday, we could get some volatility from those numbers, and that's coming out after the GDP growth rate. Not expecting that to miss at all. Expecting actually potential beat on that. Where else? December 1st. Now we have the PCE price index and the core PCE price index year over year, and then month over month. This is what the Fed bases a lot of their decisions off of. So Thursday morning, Powell speaking Wednesday afternoon. Thursday morning, 7:30 Central, we have key numbers coming out. Then we have Logan Bowman speaking. S&P Global Manufacturing PMI final. Forecast in contraction. Remember, anything below 50 is contraction. ISM Manufacturing. Forecast in contraction below 50. So 8:45 and 9 Central. And we got Barr speaking at 2 Central. And then Friday, non-farm payroll Friday. All right, forecast to be down from previous 261, this forecast 200. Unemployment rate forecast at 3.7 coming in line at previous. Then we got Evans speaking. So Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, super busy, super potential for volatility. Hey, George. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in this Sunday afternoon, Thanksgiving weekend. So, stock market map. Had some mega caps pulling back on Friday. I did not do a live stream Friday afternoon. It was just a shortened trading day. Healthcare still going up. Talked about healthcare in the weekly sector overview. But sort of a mixed Friday on a shortened trading day. Come on. There we go. Performance of last week, utilities was up big. Real estate, I did talk about those in the sector overview. Talked about basic materials. A lot of stuff, only energy was down 0.1%. Everything else was up. Friday, you had a strong rally in utilities and real estate and financials. Actually, financials tipped to a buy mode longer term after a potential pullback. Remember, 50 basis points still favored for the December 14th meeting. We're going to see if that changes this week. I am pretty much fully on board with that 50 basis point. Don't think they're going to change it from there. Still in greed mode. Current market valuations still on the above zero, fairly valued in the middle, tipping towards overvalued. Yield curve strongly overvalued is one I follow. Buffett indicator could, on a continued rally, tip into more overvalued from upper end of fairly valued. PE ratio still is in overvalued. Those are the main ones I watch. All right. Earnings. Not much going on tomorrow. I mean, really not much at all going on tomorrow. But Tuesday, we got Intuit after the close, CrowdStrike, Hewlett-Packard Enterprise, NetApp. So it's getting winding down. Okay, we're at the tail end of earnings, but there are some things not necessarily that'll be market moving, but are interesting to look at. Hormel Foods is going to be very interesting from an inflationary point of view. So I'm going to be tuning into that one. We got Salesforce on Wednesday after the close. What else? That's about it. That's the big stuff. Thursday's interesting. Dollar General and Kroger. Those are going to be interesting from the consumer and inflation passing on to it, especially with Kroger being one of the major supermarket retailers. After the close, Ulta, Zscaler, and then Friday. I guess if you're a Cracker Barrel fan, you can tune in for that one. But not much going on in terms of earnings winding down. Real quick, taking a look at the overall going into December. Still trading against the long-term system. Still technically in sell mode from the long-term stuff. We had buy mode from the medium term, rallying up to the key levels and pausing right against this tipping point. Now, this would tip it into an aggressive buy if we did close next week above here / conservative hold. And where are we sitting? We're actually on a weekly close above the 62.5. So even on a pullback, still favors higher prices at this point. NASDAQ still in long-term sell mode, short-term or medium-term buy mode, has a long way to go to tip over anything in that. Wanted to highlight this. We don't normally do this. I'll probably do this more on the weekly live stream like this. Dow into buy mode again. Dow into buy mode again. We're above the 62.5. We could easily retest the high area from last January. It's in the probabilities. So next key target area is about 34,700 to 34,783. And Russell still in medium term buy, which has almost hit all the targets. I mean, it came within just a few points of it. And long term still in sell mode. All right, now we got through that. Let's get back to just some standard analysis. Sorry, a little thirsty there. We do have a potential double top. This would tip me into short-term sell mode. We are running up against the final target from this more medium-term buy mode that was triggered back at the October 24th. And just overhead is the 200 simple moving average. This 40.59 area is very key. However, if we do run above there, we have a long-term trend line. You can see and sort of a channel, but it's really a long-term downsloping trend line. I switched to the weekly, coming in at the 75% harmonic and the harmonic projection. So we have an overhead trend line, which is pretty substantial. You can see here, sell off from March, solidifying that trend line, revisited in August, and could be revisiting that again on a rally this week. So that will be very key area around 41.25. On a breakout move above the 15th of November highs, that's my next major target area. The only thing besides little intermediate pullbacks and key support would be back at 4,000 with the rising rotation zone. Okay, that's, you see this breakout area is key resistance becoming support. And then if we hide some of these hide some of these drawings, you see the rotation zone coming in right at that area. So that is the first key level of support. Longer term level of support is right by the bottom of the rotation zone, and this prior resistance becoming support from the end of October, right around 39.15 area. And on a close below 39.1250 triggers a little double top. That would have a pullback to potentially 37.75. So that's the only bearish thing I have. Now, where do we sit in terms of the cycles? Weekly cycles at the top. Daily cycles getting to the top, but not yet rolling over. So I am in cautious bull mode unless we trigger this double. Even on pullbacks, I'm watching that rotation zone for a rotation up. You can see here, we last move up. We then sideways to slight pullback, never closed in the rotation zone, and rotation back up going into with Thanksgiving week. So that is where we sit right there. I mean, this is pretty straightforward at this point. We have a more substantial breakdown level, 39.1250 on a closing basis below that. Otherwise, we have lots of support coming in on pullbacks. We have to be cautious once daily cycles push up a little more. So possibly starting Wednesday, because this could give us a couple more little push-ups or sideways movement, reconnecting with this 200. And then going in with the stuff coming out Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, we could start getting a rollover move. Now, in that rollover move, is it going to be a minor correction or a more substantial pullback? That's we need to see. So we have great levels to trail stops also. NASDAQ, not quite yet at a double top. We're going to keep an eye on this. If it does push above, this is what's so handy to have a structured approach. 11,971.25. It's in double top territory. So you'll have to tune into a live stream for that one. Other than that, it has triggered a very short-term double bottom pullback on Friday, but we should still see targets a little higher. In the NASDAQ, 11,988. Then we have a cluster right around 12,050 to about 12,060. That's going to be my short-term major target area with cycles still climbing up to the top. On a weekly basis, you see here we're at cycles at the top. So just like the S&P, we'll be watching for a rollover play potentially towards the back end of the week. Key support coming in at 11,527 area where we have the two bottoms that form this little mini double bottom. So that's going to be a breakdown area, and on the push higher again, that could turn into a double top, which would then have some targets back down substantially lower. Oops, wrong button. Substantially lower targets for that if that were to happen. Just clear out some of these lines so we can gauge. All right. Key level support coming in about 11,732. And then next level is down about 11,560. The Dow. Remember, we closed above the 62.5. Next target area, 34,700 to 34,783. Major support coming in about 33,780 to about 33,900 is my first major support zone. Cycle's getting to the top, but not yet rolling over on the daily basis. Very overbought. Cycle's at the top on the weekly. Very overbought on the weekly. Would I be chasing it higher at this point? I would just be trailing out. And even if we get that pullback, it's still in more of a buy mode for now. So it's unless we get something substantial breaking in the markets, it favors higher continued prices. Now we're in the month of December, historically very bullish month. Russell, as I said before, the full target was 1917.50 and it got to 1913.30. Still waiting to see if that plays out. Not a double top yet. We'll be watching for a double top to also potentially form in the Russell. Cycles still have room to run on the daily basis. Weekly cycles at the top. Trying to roll over. It's really caught between a moving average zone here. You can see here, the key area I'm really focusing on is last week, the week prior to Thanksgiving. The high was 1913.30 and the low coming in at 1820.60. I'm especially watching that if we do have a breakdown play below that 18, what was that level again? 1820.60. So that's about it there. Real quick, checking in on the spiders. Yes, there is a potential double top. The 200 is overhead, 405. We have a fair amount of play up here because we closed above the 62.5. Favors 403.78 from the probability standpoint. We came twice up there, close, not quite there, and then just above it, 404.60 area. We have a lot of overhead resistance, still expecting this to poke higher before a rollover play, and that would not invalidate this potential double top. The key area to watch for on pullbacks, the major levels are 397.75, then about 394, and then your key line in the sand about 390.50. The trigger for the double would be a close below 394. The close below 390.14. Then we target the bigger pullback. We have a gap left behind from back 9th of November to the 10th. So unless we trigger that double, any pullbacks are still buying opportunities in the short term. We trigger that double, it's hands off watching for that bigger pullback. And we could even go below and test that 50%. Again, at this point, the only bearish plays are these potential doubles, and they would not be capitulation moves. They would be still ordinary pullback moves of the larger variety. Don't mistake. Now, can things change? Yes. The Qs, not yet in double top territory. So your key line in the sand is 280.46. Key support right in front of that. Going to be watching for this to push higher because we did get the close above the 62.5% harmonic. So we should still see higher prices with room to run on the daily cycles. Weekly cycles are at the top. We're caught at the weekly rotation zone. Again, if you don't understand the concept of rotation zone, there are videos up on this channel to explain it. Where else do we need to look at? Let me go over something else with the VIX. The good old VIX. Remember, we've been making a series of higher lows, and we're up against that. If you look at this short-term trend line from back at November of 21, we're right in that vicinity. Okay? So that's the only thing concerning with these potentially short-term topping patterns. If we get the rollover at key support, we've bounced off this level and had some major moves before. That's the only thing. But is there a strong pattern that says that has to line up? Not just yet. Remember, when we've come in these lower areas, it wasn't just an immediate reversal. It gave some warning signs. So, am I expecting to wake up Monday morning and the VIX to be 34? No. Could we start seeing some volatility and getting some early warning signs going into midweek that, hey, we might be putting in that short-term top in the markets with daily and weekly cycles rolling over? Be prepared? Yes. Do we have that warning sign yet? No. My first warning sign will be if we start trading above Friday's high, 21.11. But then my next key line in the sand is about 21.89 to 22. Would just, if we got above into that area, would still be an ordinary pullback. Where else do we sit with things? Again, I'm giving broad painting. Crude. Potential double bottom, needs a close above 82.36, sitting in a key support area. We, however, break below 75. I'm watching for a quick trip down to the 70 to 71 area, which would be the second target area from this major double top. Remember, we bounced off the first target at the end of September. Where else? Dollar index. Where's my dollar index? Dollar index, there is a potential double bottom. Potential double bottom cycles could still be heading to the bottom on the daily. The weekly at the bottom. So I will be watching, especially starting midweek. And if we start getting above 106.25 for a potential rally in the dollar index, that if we get a close above 107.60 gets rolled into a potential bigger rally with that double bottom play. Is it there yet? No, but it's on deck trading against the 200. If we did break down below Thursday's low about 105.22, you got support coming in right about 105. And then major support on a breakdown, which would not necessarily invalidate this double bottom back to 104.30. Taking a look at the euro, potential double top. The trigger would need a close below 102.22. Could see a pullback back to parity at least. Cycle's not yet at the top. Could this bounce around up here a little still before rolling over? Yes. Hovering right at that 200 simple moving average. The pound, I am still expecting to reconnect with that 200 simple about 122 area. My key support at this point is back at 119.20. So that tops the major currencies. Bitcoin, still nothing. Nothing to talk about Bitcoin. Still longer term, waiting for the next rollover play as the rotation zone edges down. Where else do we sit? Tesla with their semi-announcements, major resistance in Tesla coming in about 194.50 to 196.50 on a pop play going into tomorrow. Apple, the only thing that concerns me if we get a close back below 146.05. No, we don't have a double top. It's technically a triple top area in consolidation. All right, everything's flat. We're sitting in consolidation. So I'd start watching for the more of the market rollover if Apple starts closing below 146.05 and you do have a substantial gap left behind. Other than that, on a beginning of the week bullish, we should still, from a probability, not a guarantee, but from a probability standpoint, tackle this 200 because of the close above the 62.5. So we should still tackle 154.64. If that happens before a minor pullback or not, shall we wait to be seen. Microsoft, yes, it's on a bigger basis. We do have this weekly potential double top. So I will be, the daily is a little, with this little hitch in there, is a little minor, but still qualifies middle and minor sloppy, and that would take it back to this gap left behind. So pay attention. Microsoft, 237.63 on a closing basis. That could also be a sign of a short-term market top. That's why I'm covering a couple of these mega caps, because we have Apple and Microsoft at interesting positions. We also looked at Tesla. NVIDIA. NVIDIA also has a potential double top. So that is on a close below 150.80. So there's some warning signs you can put on your radar that if a number of these things trigger, we could be starting a short-term pullback. It's not a crash move or a let's take out the most recent lows, the most recent substantial lows yet, but it would be an orderly pullback. And also keep in mind the last 2 weeks of December are very orderly. Am I expecting a potential rug pull at some point? Yes. Do we have a setup for it yet? No. All right. So that's where we stand. Oh, notes. I forgot the 10-year notes. 10-year notes. We're in a bullish pattern. We've stalled out twice right in front of the first target. So I'm still watching this 113, 17.5 target, and then the next major target area is 114.10. The only thing that changes that is if we get a daily close below 112.04, triggers a double top pattern with a potential pullback all the way to 110.29. So that's what I'm keeping an eye on. Other than that, I have to stick with the bullish bias for the time being. Cycle's not at the top on the daily. Let me get to the weekly also here. And for the weekly, at the top, but not yet rolling over. This second target, this 114.10, is also prior major breakdown zone and top of the weekly rotation zone. So that's the target I am focusing on for the bullish plays. There we go. For overseas, the DAX hit that 14,600. Watching for the pullback. The next target area, though, is 14,1790 if it does continue its rally. With that, I'm not seeing any more comments, so either comments are broken. Could somebody type in a quick comment to let me know, or did the comments on the live stream break? Because I am not seeing anything. So if you put in a comment, there we go. Hey, Daniel. Thank you. Thank you for being here. Sometimes the comments do freeze on the eCam software for some reason. I'll just going to take a quick look and then I'm wrapping it up, keeping it a short day. We covered the macro perspective. George asked for SBR. Then we will get into SBR. Nothing really. On the bigger term, you're sitting against key resistance. You're sitting against key resistance. So you're into a clear path move. You filled the gap, but in order for me to get more bullish on this in the short term, especially based off of where things are trading, it would have to get above about this 82.80 level. Let's put on the harmonics. I haven't done that for you recently. So the 82, about 82.10. Let's go to 82.10. I'm lowering this level. Right there, that's also the rotation zone. Above there, I could see getting into a more aggressive stance from a bullish perspective. And then on a close above 83.86, that would then target, for me, 87.39. But that would be a trigger point if it got starting to get that close above the flattening out daily moving average into a clear path move. That's about it for there. Anissa wanted natural gas and gold. Gold, we've rotated back up, holding this key support. Or I get worried now with this kind of price action. Again, I'm expecting gold to return to the 200. However, if the dollar gets into full-blown bullish mode again, watch out with gold. 1734.40 would be a key closing level below that. There's no topping pattern. Now on a rally, pay attention to this 75% harmonic, about 1773, because that puts it back in double top territory. Cycles still have pulled back into the daily rotation zone, held on a closing basis above support with cycles at the bottom. So I am short-term watching for that rally. Longer term, that's where I'll more aggressively be trailing a stop up with gold, especially with that 200 overhead. Natural gas. Holding the 200 again. Rising rotation zone. We got the close above the trend line and holding that. So as long as we don't get a daily close below 643, I have to stay with bullish mode. We got the first reaction off the 50% harmonic. The next target cluster higher is 782 to about 788. The key for a more substantial rally is a close above 805. All right, but so far we had the breakout move and it's held that at the end of last week. Cycles are at the top on the daily and at the top on the weekly. So I would not be surprised to pull back, but any pullback that holds 643 is fine. Comes back, kisses the trend line goodbye, daily rotation zone, so that would just be an ordinary pullback. And if it sits and pulls back and holds even above 675, even better. Because then it's burned off the cycle. It's at the top, out of overbought condition, and it's held up near the prior resistance area. So, all right, thank you, Ted. We're all just riveted. You are very funny. Thank you, though. Thank you, Anissa. Buy your wife some J. Powell. J. Powell? Some J. Powell for Xmas, huh? I know what you mean there, Daniel. You're welcome, George. With that, I'm going to let everybody go back and enjoy the rest of their Sunday. I will be back in the saddle tomorrow morning, so tune in 8 a.m. Central. We'll take a look at the overnight markets and prepare ourselves for a super busy trading week. And I shall talk to everyone later. Bye. Oh, by the way, if you sat through this long and you're not a subscriber yet, please do consider subscribing, ringing that bell, and hitting the like button. There we go. That's how we'll end it up. Bye for now. Talk to you later.